This is going to be one of the most epic dogfights to ever take place. The SU-75 versus the F-35. Let's dive in. What's up everybody, Ryan Neo here. Today we're going to talk about the head-to-head matchup of the SU-75 Checkmate versus the F-35 Lightning II. This might be the closest 5th generation matchup ever seen, if the SU-75 can actually get off the production line. There's been 1,000 F-35s made and a big goose egg on the Su-75 being made. Obviously, Russia has a bit of a distraction on their hands now with the war in Ukraine. They're saying that they're going to try to produce this thing in 2025, but actually seeing these things roll off the assembly line is yet to be seen. This thing's might as well be called Casper the Ghost. But let's say that they are able to get the Su-75 Checkmate produced and they put it up head to head with the F-35. Well, we're going to be looking at a matchup that might be the closest 5th generation matchup that's ever been created. Now, that all depends on if the Su-75 is actually stealth, because some of the advanced Russian aircraft like the Su-57 aren't actually a stealth platform. They're more of like a 4.5 generation aircraft, where you're looking at the F-35 being a 5th generation, true to its name, stealth fighter. There's even rumors that the Su-57 will be adapted to make it stealth. So that's going to be the same thing with the Su-75. Is it actually going to be stealth? Because a lot of the mock-ups that we've seen at some of the different presentations of the Su-75 definitely make it look like a stealth fighter. I mean, all the edges are crisp, everything is formed together like a Da Vinci work of art. It's very beautiful, but at the end of the day, those are mock-ups. So actually having something that can withstand the structural forces of pulling 7 to 8 Gs, I think that's about the limit they're going to get out of the Su-75. Just looking at the design, it's more of a 7.5 to 8 G fighter, kind of like how the F-18 is meant to be. You can press an override switch in the F-18 to get up to 9.5 Gs, and I'm assuming it's going to be something close to that with the Su-75. Looking at about 7.5 Gs or so. But the F-35 is a full up 9 G fighter, so in a close-in dogfight, the F-35 will have an advantage in being able to get some nose authority, but more on that in a second. Let's talk about the Su-75 engine. So you're looking at the Isabelle 30 is most likely what you're going to see on the Su-75. I'm assuming this thing will not be thrust vectoring just due to maintenance issues, and eventually down the line they could even weld this thing to make it not thrust vectoring, because maintenance on the Su-57 and the Su-75 are extremely high compared to some of the other 5th generation fighters that you see out there that were kind of meant to be very ease of use when it comes to maintenance. But if they are able to put a full Su-75 with thrust vectoring up in the air, that will be a formidable enemy, because the F-35 is not a thrust vectoring aircraft. So that would be a clear advantage. And if Russia chooses to go that route, that might actually give them the upper hand in a dogfight. But let's talk about the cockpit between the Su-75 and the F-35. So with the Su-75, you've got a single seat configuration, but there's rumors that there's a strong chance of a 2 cockpit version of this thing being built, as well as a version that can be piloted with AI and have no pilot at all. While it's also claimed to be the case with the F-35, there's no known F-35s currently operating without a pilot. And the Su-75 cockpit is essentially a remake of the Su-57 cockpit, so you've got a lot of glass up there, which will create ease of use and a lower workload for a single pilot configuration. But it also makes me think that why didn't they adapt this thing to make it more user-friendly? Especially, why didn't they put a side stick in it? The Su-57 has the center stick configuration, but having the side stick in the Su-75 would be a huge advantage, in my opinion, just due to the fact that with the center stick, you have to look up and over that stick to read some of your sensors. And I ran into that limitation in the F-15E, where you have a situational display right in front of the stick. So I found myself looking up and over that display multiple times during combat, during dogfights, at times when I didn't want to have to do that. I wanted to just stay calm, cool, and collected, back in my seat like you would in a Viper in an F-16 or an F-35. So the fact that they're not updating this cockpit to have the side stick makes me really wonder if they're making this an airframe that is built around the pilot and meant to be extremely user-friendly for the pilot. Right now, I'm not seeing it. And additionally, with the cockpit of the SU-75, this is a huge limitation. They're putting a HUD, a heads-up display. It's a wide-angle HUD, which I appreciate. The Strike Eagle had a wide-angle HUD as well. So I got to fly with a wide-angle HUD and a regular HUD, and I'll say the heads-up display that is wide, that gives you the ability to twist and turn around in the seat and still see information up in that heads-up display is a huge advantage. I mean, it's just as much of an advantage as having a side stick, in my opinion. So the fact that the SU-75 has that widescreen integration is great, but it's not that great because the F-35 doesn't have a HUD. And you're probably saying, well, Ryan, if the F-35 doesn't have a HUD, shouldn't the Su-75 be an advantage over that? That is definitely not the case, and here's why. With the F-35, you have full sensor integration in a 360-degree field of view. So as the pilot flying the F-35, you can literally look through your airframe down at the ground. You can look and get air-to-ground targets. You can get air-to-air targets in your heads-up display. It's a helmet-mounted cueing system that's been advanced to integrate night vision, to integrate sensors that are not on your actual aircraft, but sensors throughout the battlefield. I mean, pretty soon I think this thing's gonna have health bars and you can put it on God mode if you want to. So having that sensor integration of the F-35 is a huge advantage over the Su-75. So let's talk about it. Let's say you put yourself in a position where you're going head-to-head, checkmate versus Lightning II, and you're looking at the horizon. In the F-35, the center integration is going to allow you to look off angle from your nose and actually see this Su-75. What you would see would not be the actual Su-75 because you'd be maybe hundreds of miles away, but you'd be able to see an icon over where that Su-75 is. With the Su-75, you're going to need to be pointed directly at the F-35 to see it in your heads-up display, and you're most likely going to need to use other sensors, other ground-based radars to even have a chance of seeing the F-35, and that comes down to the stealth characteristics of each aircraft. We'll get to that in a second. So in the F-35, as you're looking at the horizon and seeing this aircraft, you can point that aircraft out to your wingman. You can point that aircraft out to any ground-based missiles that might be in the theater. There's so many advantages to being able to see that aircraft before it sees you. And beyond visual range, the F-35 is going to be sitting pretty. You're going to be able to see this thing from a long ways away. And then let's talk about actual detection. So both of these aircraft are going to have an ASA radar. An ASA radar is a huge advantage. It's basically the checkmate, no pun intended, in air-to-air radars because you're able to see the whole airspace at once. You don't have to use a Doppler scanned radar, which is going to have to ping off of certain objects and then come back to your aircraft. The ASA radar is essentially seeing everything all at once and providing high fidelity data right into your jet. And using those things was a huge advantage. If you had one and an enemy didn't have one, it was essentially like no contest. But with both of these having an ASA, it's going to come down to which one has a better ASA radar, which engineers designed their ASA better. And at the end of the day, that's for you to decide. My money's going to be on the F-35 beyond visual range, not only just because of the radar, but because of the stealth signature. When I think of an F-35, what it's going to look like to a radar is it's essentially going to be like a steel golf ball. And that's an anomaly. You might not see anything on your radar because a steel golf ball at a couple hundred miles away is going to essentially be like looking at nothing on your radar scope. So first launch opportunity, in my opinion, is going to go to the F-35 just simply because they're going to be able to see the Su-75 way before the Su-75 pilot sees them. So as a Su-75 pilot, you're going to be really relying on ground-based radars to try to point out an F-35, and that is even if they can see it. So distinctly here, we've got an advantage beyond visual range going to the F-35. But let's say for whatever reason, both of these jets are not able to shoot each other beyond visual range due to some sort of identification criteria or whatever the case may be that leads them into an actual dogfight. Now, we've got a fight on our hands. In an actual dogfight, if the Su-75 does come off the line with thrust vectoring, there's going to be a maneuver advantage going to the Su-75. But again, you've got the heads-up display, and without an off-bore sight capability with a heat-seeking missile, it's definitely going to be at a disadvantage. As the F-35 pilot, you're going to be using every sensor you have, which is integrated right into your helmet to see this aircraft. You're going to look off bore sight and you're going to get an AIM-9X shot off as soon as possible. Now, this comes down to the skill of the pilot. So if you've got equally matched pilots in these jets, the sensor integration of the F-35 gives it a decisive advantage to win the dogfight, in my opinion. But if you have an inexperienced pilot in the F-35 and a well-advanced superior pilot in the SU-75, now all bets are off, and that SU-75 might get the first launch opportunity in a within visual range engagement with a heat-seeking missile like an Archer. And then at that point, it's on the F-35 to flare off that missile and try to get that SU-75 pilot to lose sight. But whichever of these pilots lose sight, it's going to be very dangerous for that pilot, because most likely you're going to look at skilled aviators that are chosen to fly either one of these, F-35 or Su-75. So without thrust vectoring, if both of these F-35s and Su-75s just have normal integrated engines, most likely you're going to see a battle that is going to take place all the way down to the floor, with both of these aircraft just having an essentially equally ability to rate around a circle. And in dogfighting, it's all about creating circles and creating a smaller circle than your enemy. And an off-axis two-circle fight just means that one of the aircraft is able to have a smaller circle than the other aircraft, and then they place their circle inside the other aircraft's circles. I know, a lot of circles going on. Post Malone, anybody know that song? Amazing song, by the way. But whichever aircraft can get their circle inside the other aircraft's circle and get a shot off is going to win this dogfight. But at the end of the day, this one is going to be one for the record books. Thanks for watching this dogfight breakdown, guys. If you like this video, comment below. Let me know other jets that you would like to see pinned head to head. We'll see you in the next video. Hey, what's up everybody? Ryan Neo here. Thanks for checking out the channel. I really appreciate you being here. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It just helps me grow the channel. And then check out another one of these videos. I'll see you on those videos. Have a great day.